Hi everybody, so I'm Olesja Marjalaakso, founder, CEO of Polka Dot Studio. Just quick, I'm really happy to be here, thank you. And it's been super interesting day so far, and a great city. So, just quickly about my background in gaming industry. I started in digital chocolates in 2007. Yeah, that's a tip aware. I was actually doing HR. And first I fell in love with people making games. They just felt my kind of crazy and it clicked. And later on, I fell in love with everything else that's related to making games. It just, as a whole, it just clicked with me and I decided this is what I want to do. After digital chocolates and a couple of kids, I worked in a small studio called AppStar. And AppStar was founded by the same people who founded STARTUp, and that was in 90s a web-based paper doll dress-up heaven for teenage girls. And it had like millions of users, and it was a big phenomena. And the same founders, they wanted to bring that phenomena to mobile. And we built a dress-up game, World of Fashion. We launched it globally, got over 1 million users with zero marketing, zero spend, but unfortunately the game never really monetized. So the founders decided to close the studio. And I was really at the crossroads, what should I do next? While working at AppStar, I saw that most game studios, they are full of guys. And these guys are figuring out what type of new experiences and games we could create for guys. But half of mobile game players are women. And there's just not enough studios full of women figuring out new experiences for women. And that's why I decided to found Polka Dot Studio. The company was founded March 2017. We are headquartered in Helsinki, Finland. We are 8 full-time people working, and as you can see, we are a lot of women. And we are also lucky to have Peter Westerbacka, the mighty eagle of Rovio, as one of our investors and advisors. So yeah, vision, create new experiences for women. But what women actually want? That's a tough question, and I don't know if anybody can answer that. If even Mel Gibson can't answer that, so I don't know. But we had some guidelines that we thought that we could follow. First being that fill the studio with women, mix elements from games and apps, take familiar teams that women like, that are part of women's everyday life, take into account that a lot of women, they don't consider themselves gamers, actually, even if they play a lot. And my personal thing that I think that if a game has some kind of relationship into your real life, the game becomes more engaging and it keeps me in a gameplay longer. So together with all that, we started prototyping on our first game. And well, we were thinking that fashion is pretty much part of a lot of women's life. So we decided to do a fashion game with real life, real clothes, real brands. When we started figuring out what could be a familiar theme for women, where do we spend time, and we realized that Instagram would be a good fit. So we decided to put the game to feel and play like Instagram. And how do you learn about new games, new brands, new whatever? Of course, through YouTube and influencers. So we wanted to take influencers into the gameplay from the beginning. So we ended up with a game that feels and looks like Instagram, but that has a proven free-to-play core mechanic in it. Let me just quickly explain on the gameplay. Every player, they have their own avatar in the game. You style your avatar with real-life clothes, you enter limited edition challenges, and all the stylings entered into the challenges are voted and ranked by other players. And when you get the results, and based on those results, you get loot boxes, you get cash and gems to buy new clothes, you get fashion tokens to get better makeup, better hairstyles. It's pretty simple, but a working formula. What we brought new is the second loop, the social core loop that we took from Instagram, that all the stylings you create, they go to the feed, and that's the place for interaction between players. So they see some stylings they can like those stylings, they can start following those players, and all that interaction also builds into the whole gameplay and into the reward loops. For me, playing the game and developing it, I think there's two pretty unique things that are pretty different from any other game. First is that every second of a game play in our game it feels social. I'm always playing with somebody. It's all the content is created by other players, and there's like a lot of interaction. It feels like I'm on social media, even if I'm playing a game. And the second thing is that it actually teaches me about fashion. I am actually a least fashionable person in the world, but by playing regularly every day our game for a year and a half, I started seeing patterns in fashion, like what's coming in, what's going out, and I started recognizing brands in clothes walking towards me, and I even ended up buying the same shirt that I use in game very often, from the same brand. So that felt that we are definitely onto something. So we saw an opportunity that this game could be something more, that it could be a new type of marketing platform for brands, a possibility to be where the audience already is and to really engage and measure that engagement. And also a new type of a retail experience. You play the game, you see clothes you like, you test them out, you get the feedback, and then you actually buy them. But how could we test our ideas, being a small gaming studio from Finland? Well, we were lucky to have Peter on board, and he happened to know Russia's biggest influencer, Sasha Spielberg. He had worked with her during Rovio. So we flew together with Peter to Moscow, and we agreed to do a soft launch on our game Trendy Stylist together with Sasha Spielberg. Oh, I missed some, I think. But yeah, we agreed to do a soft launch of our game together with Sasha Spielberg in Russia, and with the objectives being that let's see how far we can integrate an influencer into a game to engage her audience, and how that influencer, what type of user acquisition channel that could be, what type of conversions we could get, and of course seeing what type of impact we can have in one country with one influencer. Our launch plan was pretty simple. We created an in-game event. It's a regular event that goes in a game, but the first ever was branded to Sasha. So the in-game event has its own mini-game, it has its own challenges, its own shop, and all was branded to Sasha and followed her life, her pictures, her everything. And we went even farther, that we branded the whole game to her, so that the app icon had Sasha's likeness, and also the splash screen had her likeness. And so we did the launch, and I have to say that it went pretty well. She did a really good video. It got 600,000 views, and pretty awesome 10% of these viewers went and downloaded the game. So the game became top 10 game on both App Store and Google Play in Russia, and we got over 100,000 downloads during the first week. We got super good reviews, and people really liked the game and stayed and continued playing. So what's next for us? Now that we have a proof that the game works and we have the numbers to finally show some brands, so the next plan is to do even bigger and better test launch, this time together with an influencer and an international big brand. And really expand on our vision of blending mobile games and retail, fashion retail, because we believe that the timing is now right. Audience is ready for it. Shopping is going digital even more and more, and influencers are part of our everyday decision making. I think also retailers are ready for it. They are actively experimenting with new ways to engage their audience, and games are, their audience is already in mobile games, so it's a perfect place to engage. And also technology is ready. Now I can scan my body to make a 99% accurate version of me with the correct measurements and put it into a game. We can scan a 3D version of any clothing item with less than 2 minutes to get into the game. So we can get the mass, we can get all the clothes in the game and create a seamless shopping experience that is also fun and social. You play the game, you see the clothes and fashion you like, you test it, you get feedback, and you buy. So this is our vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you.